Thank you, Tiffany and Ronnie. That was so amazing, so wonderful to feel the Spirit embodied. Feel it moving through the form as well, too. Well, every time you come into this church, you know, we mess you up every time you walk through the doorway of our community in Wilmington. We don't let you stay in your comfort zone for very long, do we? When you come in here, we hit you up with teachings that challenge you, not just to feel oneness when you're here, but then to go out and feel the oneness being spread and touched by the many that you touch and see every single day. We hold in mind the bigger picture of who we are, a picture of oneness and wholeness. And when we feel that, we can't go back into our world and be different. We have to be different. We can't think about being different. We know we have to see everyone in a new light, in a new way. Today's talk is called G.U.R.U. G-U-R-U. Guru means dispeller of darkness. Dispeller of darkness. And for me, these particular last few weeks, there have been a couple of teachers who've been my guru, been my dispeller of darkness. Last week, we talked about Pearl Fryer, who worked with gardens in Bishopville, South Carolina. And this week, the person who touched me is a woman named Temple Grandin. How many here know of Temple Grandin and her work with autism and her ability to move us to dispelling the darkness in ourselves so we can become a light for other people as well. She had 3 great teachers in her life who believed in her beyond a shadow of a doubt. She walked through a doorway of a world that had her shut in, and through the help of her guru, her mother and her aunt and a teacher, she opened up the shell of what was hiding inside this huge picture of a different world, a world that we need to hear the message about. And I want to share that message with you now. It's a very short clip on Temple Grandin.
That autism is not a psychological problem.
Back to Levy.
Calm down, sweetie. Sweetie, calm down.
It would be better if we could get her to sit calmly. You're trying to control her.
But we were told self-stimulation is good. It eventually called for it. Self-stimulation, rocking, spinning, rolling on the floor,
Well,
flapping.
I think spinning is good. And rolling, too. Self-stimulation does seem to eventually calm the nervous system. It can be a way to compensate for not being held. And being held by another person is scary, but rolling or being held by surfaces produces the calming effect that ordinary children get from a hug.
How old's your child?
Well, I don't have children. I'm autistic. And I need the sensation of being hugged. And I've developed a machine that I get into and hugs me, and I'm different afterwards. I'm more social. Well, I didn't speak until I was 4. Now I have a BA and a master's, and I'm studying for my doctorate.
Please don't shout. Please don't.
Most autistic people are very sensitive to sounds and colors. Overstimulation hurts. You know, people talking too much at once, can cause us to panic.
How did you get cured?
Well, I'm not cured. I'll always be autistic. My mother refused to believe I wouldn't speak. And when I learned to speak, she made me go to school. And in school and at home, manners and rules were really important. They were pounded into me. I was lucky. All these things worked for me. Everyone worked hard to make sure that I was engaged. And they knew I was different, but not less. Now, I had a gift. I could see the world in a new way. I could see details that other people were blind to. My mother pushed me to become self-sufficient. I worked summers at my aunt's ranch, went to boarding school and college. Those things were uncomfortable for me at first, but they helped me to open doors to new worlds.
Excuse me, please, but we want to hear everything.
have not had the great gift of finding out more about this woman, there is on YouTube the story of Temple Grandin. It's called Temple Grandin, and you can look it up and you can watch it forever, and you'll want to share it. An amazing story of her finding others who were willing to be her guru, her teacher, to help her dispel the darkness so she could come out and share the bigger picture that she held in her mind. At first it was her mother, who was relentless in believing in her, as completely shut down as she was to the world. She said, "You're different, but not less. You're different, but not less." And by the way, you are in this room listening to this message. You are different, but you are not less. You're seeing the world through the lens of oneness, and then going out into the world of separation and doing what is yours to do to heal the division, the isolation, and the fear that most people walk around in. Her aunt helped her socialize. She didn't understand people. She knew about animals. She could feel what they were thinking. But people drove her crazy. And her aunt, being her guru, her dispeller of darkness, helped her see that people were just people and they thought differently. And then the one that really brought the doorway to her was a science teacher who said, "Temple, you need to get this message out that you have. You need to help the world see things differently. You see things that the world needs to see. You need to be aware that you have a great gift to bring." She said, "But I can't do it." She said, "Well, think of everything that you're fearful about and get the picture in your mind that it is a doorway. And you can walk through that doorway. And when you walk through that doorway, everything you'll need will be brought to you. You'll be able to do it." And once Temple Grandin got an idea in her mind, a picture of it, because she thinks in pictures, there was no stopping her. Once you get what we're teaching you in this room, the teachings of oneness and wholeness, you will not be the same. You will become a dispeller of darkness. You will become a light in your world for others. And that's why we're here. Jesus Christ is one of the greatest dispellers of darkness on the planet. He was trouble everywhere he went, right from the time he was a little teeny boy. And he was walking with his parents, and Mary said, Jesus, where's Jesus? Joseph, I told you to take care of him. Can't you just do one thing I asked you to do? You lost our son. You can understand that conversation, right? And they find him. And where is he? Where is Jesus? He's in the temple. He says, "I must be about my Father's business." The business of what? Not business as usual. Business as usual has got us where we are today. And so he came into the world and brought a message of oneness, and he saw that oneness everywhere, shining through everyone. And he disturbed the status quo. If you're not disturbing some people by your coming to unity, get out there and be a problem and a trouble to the world of separation. We need you out there now to dispel the darkness of the ignorance that's surrounding the planet right now. This particular chapter in our book is chapter 6, and it's going to mess your mind up. And you've heard it before. It's really easy to say, but go ahead and try to practice it. Go ahead. It says, "Our guru is everywhere." This is from, again, one soul, one love, one heart. "Once the master is satisfied that the disciple is firmly established in the path, he is keen to cleanse the mind of the disciple of all blemishes. Often, he achieves this task even at the risk of appearing ruthless." Everyone you meet is your guru, your great teacher. And in the old way, the traditional way, the guru-disciple relationship was one where you found a Tibetan yogi, or you found a Buddhist meditator, or you found some lama, or you found a Benedictine monk or a Christian mystic, and they would be your teacher. You'd sign up and say, "I want you to irritate the heck out of all of my blemishes and help me wake up to who I am." And they said, "I'll help you do that, but you got to be willing to grow. You got to be willing to look at those stuck places in you. You got to be willing to let the light shine on those places that keep you from being the radiant child of God that you are. Do you want me to do that?" And we would say, "Yes, I do want that." For us, back in 1976, we went to go live on the farm in Summertown, Tennessee, with Stephen Gaskin. We were 26 years old. And we agreed, walking through the gates of the farm, that we were going to accept the teachings that were being offered there. And Stephen Gaskin was a ruthless teacher. He stuck all of these people in little tiny places and said, here, get along, work it out. Your relationship with each other is your relationship to God. He'd say things like, you know, if you think you're cool already, there ain't nothing we can do with you. So if you think you're cool already, then you just go ahead and walk out the door. Go somewhere else. But if there's some places in you that need to grow, we'll help you grow them. That's what a guru does. Dispels the darkness. Helps us get out of ourselves. And in this chapter, he is saying, let everybody you meet be your guru. John talks about his relationship with his dad. And his first guru that he met, a dispeller of darkness, was Ram Dass. You all know, many of you know about Ram Dass. And Ram Dass listened to John go on and on about his relationship with his dad, and his dad didn't give him anything, and he was terrible to him, and he was this, and he was that, and he was that. And he listened, and he said, John, let me tell you something. Here's what you need to do. Every time you go to see your dad, pretend there's a doorway out in front of the house. And when you walk through that doorway, you can depend upon your dad being exactly as he's always been. He is not going to change. So who's the one who can change? You! Walk through the doorway that says, Guru, my dad, my greatest teacher. Try walking through that doorway and see how your relationship to life changes. When you use everyone as your spiritual teacher, when you use everything that comes along as a dispeller of darkness, there's great potential for you not to miss the lesson. The Mahatma Gandhis, the Martin Luther Kings, the Dalai Lamas, they can all be a guru and they're in the official role, but the unofficial ones are all the irritating people that you deal with all day long. Now, I'm not talking about staying in abusive relationships. Sometimes the answer is no, and that's where you dispel the darkness and you move off into something else. But for most of us, it's the irritating little things that get us all day long, that trap us into not seeing the truth. For me, I notice it comes in moments of when I get dissatisfied about something. I was sitting in a meeting with a person, and I was listening to this person talk, and they were saying things that were bringing up my resistance in me. I could feel my resistance coming up to what they were saying. Felt it coming up. And I thought about Temple Grandin, and I thought about that machine that she talked about. She noticed it when she was at the farm. They would take cattle and they'd move them into this squeeze box, it was called, and it would close in around them. And all of a sudden, the cattle would just completely calm down and relax. She looked at the cattle's faces and said, that's what I need when I get into one of those panic attacks, when the noise and the sensations are too much and I go into a spin and a twirl. I need to gather myself. Do you feel this? To gather yourself through prayer, through meditation, through coming back to yourself again. But I was in the middle of this conversation with this person, and I'm noticing that my resistance is getting stronger and stronger. I feel it rising in me. So I start practicing. While this person's talking, I'm trying to listen, and I'm saying to myself, God is, I am. Choosing thoughts, aware of feelings, perception changes. God is, I am. Choosing thoughts, aware of what I'm feeling in me, not the person, but in me. My perception changes. And it began to release in me. I could hear what the person was saying. My dispeller of darkness came and called me to practice, to bring myself back into my body. Because mostly, it's all mental that goes on. Nothing's going on except we're in a room with some person and they're talking. What's going on? I'm going wild with my reaction. How silly. God is, I am, choosing thoughts, aware of feelings, perception, changes. Freedom. Maureen likened it unto the geese that are flying. She brought this up. We do a lot of collaborating on the talk. I get to be the mouth, but she's the brains behind the outfit, and the heart as well, too. And we're flying. What am I doing here? I'm just a big blabbermouth that likes to be in front of people. So yeah. You're supposed to disagree with that. Where's the, oh no, Richard, that's not true. All the women are going, Yeah, something new for me. I live with one. It's the V formation, okay? And then there'll be a goose that'll be in the guru, the disciple. That'll be in the front of the line, and for a while they'll be breaking all the wind, right? Doing the movement of the energy, so you can be in the back and run through. But then there'll be a time when that goose will get tired, and it'll take its place in back of the line and move with it to take a rest, and then someone else gets to be the guru and the disciple. Do you feel what that's like? You play that role for other people. Your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, your brothers, your co-workers, the people at work, that guy who took your parking space that you were telling me about the other day while you were at the beach, and you didn't do what you would have done 10 years ago, which is taking his car and throwing it in the ocean. You didn't do that. He was getting married, and he let him have his space after he waited for 40 minutes. That was the job of the guru. Now, being awake enough in that moment to take a different action in the world, I can't tell you how beneficial that is for changing the consciousness of the planet. So in our story, the energy goes on, and it's interesting about that because that particular day when I was having that moment, it happened again about 2 or 3 hours later. It came up again. This time it was 3 o'clock, I was tired. So I said, you know what, I'm not willing to do anything with this except leave. I'm tired and I want to go home. And then I got behind in the line, and someone else got to take the energy in front of me, and I got to be behind it and move with it. So sometimes you're just tired, and all I could do in seeing him that way was have this great compassion for him. My heart ached for the torment and isolation. I softly wept as I thought how often throughout his life this man had brushed aside the love that was being offered to him. How many times, days and night, he spent in the searing fire of self-hatred and doubt. I said, I love you, Dad. I loved you. I still love you. I had never in that moment loved anybody any more than I loved him. And his body, when I said this, it softened. All the tension began to melt. He breathed out this long sigh of satisfaction, and a big smile spread on his lips, and it grew. Eventually, his face was just beaming. His tired eyes were radiantly bright and wide open. He was looking straight up at the ceiling, as if looking at heaven. I hadn't seen him that happy in years. Slowly, he lifted up his right arm, and he placed it on my right shoulder. And he said, good, 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 good. And I felt like in that moment I had just graduated. That my relationship with my dad and his role as my guru, my dispeller of darkness, was complete. I could sense him thinking, thank you, God. Thank you. I can finally die in peace. The kid finally got it. It took him 33 years, but he finally got it. It isn't about me, it's about him. It isn't about how nasty and abusive I can be. It's about how loving he can be, no matter what. And the next day, he died. Good, good, good. I remember my last day with my dad, and I didn't know it was my last time with my dad. I didn't know it, and none of you will know that, by the way. Your last day with anybody could be today, because you never know when your Earth visa is going to be pulled. And I was with Alvin, and I was with him in Florida, and he was on his deathbed, and he'd been on his deathbed 27 times and come back to life. And nothing could stop him. And the bed pulled up like this when I walked in the room, and he had his glasses on like this. And, you know, he looked at me and said, oh, hi, son, how are you? Good to see you. Well, sit down. And I gave him a little hug, gave me a peck on the cheek. And he was looking at me. But he wasn't just looking at me. He was looking through me, into my soul. And he said to me, would you like to read this card I got? And I said, sure. And I read the card. It said, roses are red, violets are blue. I hope you get better, Dad, from your other son, too. And it was the son that ended up getting the inheritance along with the family that got all the millions at the end that we didn't get. And my dad the dispeller of darkness, my guru, my great teacher. He knew that. And in that moment, I got it. I got it. He was a dispeller of darkness. He was saying, what sayest thou you, holy meditator, Vipassana teacher, oneness blessing giver, Mr. Spiritual with your beads and your little Om tattoos? What sayest thou you, O holy child of God, or holy child of Alvin? Whose inheritance do you want to collect in this moment? And I got it. I said, I got what this was about. This wasn't about him being any different. He was always the same. It was about me and what I choose to do in this moment in my relationship to him. And my love and my kindness and my forgiveness has been given to me as an opportunity and a blessing in this moment, and that's what I choose to extend. It didn't stay that way forever. Over the next 5 years, it came back up, and I forgot that lesson many times. But he was my great guru, my great dispeller of darkness. And for that gift that he gave me, I am grateful. I am grateful. So in our lesson summation, it says it this way. From Meher Baba, once the master is satisfied that the disciple is firmly established in the path, and you are or you wouldn't be here, he is keen to cleanse the mind of the disciple of all blemishes. Often he achieves this task even at the risk of appearing ruthless. That's you too as well, you know. 2, re-perceiving our family and our friends and our partners and our employers and our co-workers and strangers on the street and people trying to take away our parking spaces as potential teachers or gurus opens the possibility for an exciting new perspective on life. Rather than seeing the flaws in others, the ways in which we think that God or the universe has created them incorrectly and made a huge mistake, we begin to see them as our perfect teachers. Being each other's guru can be compared to geese flying in a V formation. We each take our turn, dispelling the darkness and leading others home. About 3/4 into the movie, there is an amazing moment. When you are with an autistic child, they're not able to receive physical hugs from their parents. They just can't do it. It's painful for them to receive it that way. But there's one scene in the movie after so much has happened and so much darkness has been dispelled, and Temple Grandin has come out of herself in an amazing way. And she's standing there with her mother. And they're saying the goodbye that had been said many times during their time together, and as much as her mom wanted to grab her and just hug her and hold her and be with her, she knew she could not do that. And there's this amazing moment where I'll be Temple walks up to her mom, puts her head on her shoulder just for the minute. That's all she could do, just for a few seconds, just to let her know, Mom, you are the dispeller of darkness in my life. You are my guru and my greatest teacher. Thank you for not giving up on me. God will never give up on you. You will receive the teachers and the teachings you need to graduate from separation into oneness. Be a dispeller of darkness, my friends. That's what we're here for. And don't be afraid when the going gets tough. The Spirit and the blessing will be with you. Enjoy your practice. Remember, G.U.R.U. Blessings.